Hello and welcome another edition of Coach's Corner. And today I'm really excited. We're going to be talking some OVC, Ohio Valley Conference, and we're going to be talking St. Charles, Missouri, home of Lindenwood University, and its head coach. And PJ, I'm really excited to talk to you a little bit about Lindenwood. But PJ Finnegan is a storied player himself, former Major League draft pick. Former pitching coach, Salukis, by the way, Southern Illinois, and now the head coach at Lindenwood University. PJ, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Walter. Really appreciate the opportunity to spread the message about Lindenwood and the OVC.
So I would love for you to, what makes your campus special, just as a student, before we talk about the baseball? Just, I've looked it up, St. Charles, Missouri, into that, what is it, like 20, 30 miles southwest of St. Louis, I believe. And
The,
what makes it a great college community?
it's a really unique place in that we're about 20 minutes from downtown St. Louis, one of the largest suburbs of St. Louis and St. Charles, and it's a growing school. In the last 15 years, we've gone from NAIA to Division One. Along with that, you would see that the enrollment's gone with it. We're just under 8,000 students. And when you drive onto campus, you're kind of like punched in the face by how beautiful it is. Brick buildings, everything looks like it opened yesterday. And our administration and just the president, everyone is very forward thinking and continues to move the needle with Lindenwood. And I think when you see from the sports side of it, uh, everyone continues to have success. And I think it just speaks volumes about the campus community, the St. Charles community. It's a great place to go to school because you're in your own little bubble of your 8,000 students, and you get a true college experience, but also you can get to St. Louis. St. Charles has everything that you can think of, from movie theaters to Target. All of the life things, in a great downtown area where moms and parents love to hang out. And it's just, I think for the true college experience, it has everything. There's nothing that we lack. And I think because of that, that's why the school's growing, athletic department's growing. And it's a really awesome time to be a part of Lindenwood.
So at Lindenwood University, with regard to just talking about the vibe from an athletic perspective, the sports within the Ohio Valley Conference is a very, very competitive conference. And in light of the fact that we, saw a few schools within the conference make some noise with regard to the baseball side of things, talk a little bit about, you know, there really isn't a mid-major anymore. If we're being, this whole change of within the settlement, and we talk about portal and from a negative perspective, but really I don't like to use the word parity. I'm going to call it equality is going to be spread out now throughout college athletics. Talk a little bit about how you might be a little bit more excited about that dynamic of getting quality players to come into the program, but as well as stay in the program.
Yeah, I think that the first point that you said about the Ohio Valley Conference, it finished 15th in the RPI this year, and
Right.
what I would tell people is it's a unique time for us because I think we're extremely fortunate that we have some of the best coaches, maybe in Ohio Valley Conference history, that care about their programs, are pushing their programs forward, are working extremely hard to move the needle, even on their own campuses. A lot of facility improvements, and I think that that's, like I said, a testament to the coaches, but also the administrators, that they recognize that baseball's getting bigger and bigger from a marketing standpoint. You saw what Little Rock did in getting to the finals. And I think that the whole entire conference is trying to push things forward, and I think it runs parallel with, all the changes that are going on with college baseball. I think from our side of it, we are getting better high school players, as other people are looking more in the portal and kind of waiting around to see how kids develop. Our league in general has done a great job of getting the high school player and developing them, and goes back to the coaches that we have great coaches in this league. And because of that, I think that our league will have some staying power, with hopefully being right around that 15 mark, or even pushing it higher. And for us, just under the microscope, that's where we've really hit our mark, is the high school kids, being able to develop them. And I say it all the time to our assistants and recruits, is I think that if you treat kids right, you have a plan to develop them, and you win, the kids are going to want to stay around. And for the most part, we've been able to do that. And I'm really excited for what we have in the future as well.
I want to remind parents and student athletes that a good way to kind of update and educate yourself with regard to Lindenwood University, as well as all the other Ohio Valley Conference programs, is through the Baseball Blue Book. They're everything that you need as far as contact information, social media contacts, etc., is located in the Blue Book. So be sure and create your profile and check out Lindenwood with regard to your potential landing spot as a for a college student athlete. And I really want to kind of go back to your perspective on high school athletes. Now more than ever, it really is incumbent upon coaches from an evaluation perspective. You really want to make sure you're getting it right, but talk a little bit about the value of the high school athlete. May not be as jaded, maybe really more aggressive. What are you looking for in a a high school student athlete when you're going through your recruiting process with them?
We really value them through our program. We When we recruit them, we talk to them about being foundational pieces to the longevity of the program, and really try to build through the middle of our field. You know, catcher, shortstop, second base, center field, starting pitcher. Like those kids are foundational pieces that generally come from the high school ranks. And I think that the biggest change has been, it's been a little slower for the evaluation for the high school kids. But I think on the
Right,
flip side of that is, I think we're getting it right more often, and that's hard. That is hard, especially for the parents and the summer coaches and the high school coaches and advisors. Is they want, these high school kids used to fly off the market like crazy, and
right.
that has changed a little bit. But I think in the best advice that I could give is just be patient, continue to work, and make yourself better, because we'll find you. Recruiting, I think that there are very few secrets anymore. There are very few kids that fall through the
Right.
cracks. It's more about finding the place where you fit the best, where it's the best opportunity, the coaches that you feel can develop you the best, and where what feels like home. And for us, with our high school kids, like that is so meaningful for us, and we love it. We had the freshman of the year in the league this year, high school kid, obviously, and then the pitcher of the year that we had from the OVC. Pitcher of the year is a homegrown kid. Is actually from St. Charles, Missouri, and to see him, he was a Division II recruit, and to see his development over the last 3 years is a huge testament to him and who he is, and our pitching coach Denton McNamee, to say that again, to go from a Division II recruit, he was recruited when Lindenwood was a Division II program, to now being a Division I conference pitcher of the year, is a really cool story.
So I want to kind of reemphasize something that you talked about, and it's kind of a sticking point or a pain point for a lot of families and obviously student athletes. It's that slowing down of the recruiting process of the high school athlete. And when they have become, and when I say they, over the last 20 years, really with travel ball and then the eighth and ninth and 10th graders kind of getting recruited, I guess, for lack of a better word. Now it's kind of okay, as they're coming into that senior year, you're waiting for that physical and mental maturity, and talk a little bit about why that's so important for parents to understand. We haven't forgotten about the high school athlete. We're just approaching it a little bit slower as a staff to make sure we're identifying the right fits for our program.
Yeah, and I think you're just seeing the recruiting side of things normalize, and get back to what it was, like you said, 20 years ago. And a lot of that is just, with the new rules, you have to make sure the smaller rosters, that we are. I think it's in the best interests of the kid to commit a little bit later, just because you know what you're going to be. You have a better idea of yourself physically, mentally. I think you are further down the line academically. You just know what you want a little bit more, And I think because of that, as we go forward, less mistakes will be made. You'll see less decommitments. You'll see hopefully less kids in the portal just because it wasn't the right fit. Like I said, I'm sure I certainly see that from our end of things. But the flip side is, it is nerve wracking for the parents and for the players. And that's always my advice. Continue to make yourself better, continue to work on your game, and all the other things will work out.
I was very excited when you agreed to chat with me because I really love to talk to high end pitching minds. I think in this world of velocity, we always think about the acceleration for young pitchers, and I always try to get parents to think the exact opposite when we start talking to parents of pitchers, where you have to have the ability to decelerate just as much as the ability to accelerate. And so, can you talk a little bit about when you're recruiting pitchers? Can you talk about what you're looking for as far as ability to land secondaries and plus counts, or the ability to throw that change up in that 2-0 count? The value of that just as much as what the radar gun says.
Yeah, and we, if you would look at our staff, we value strikes first and foremost. The
Amen.
ability to command the baseball is second to none. Even if your stuff is a little bit down, if you still can command the baseball and compete, it's going to give yourself a chance to win and be successful on that day. So when we're looking for kids, it's less about what you can do presently, outside of, do you have the ability to command the baseball right now? Is there an outlier secondary? Can you do something that we can improve on? All of those things, because I think now with all the training methods, we can certainly make you throw harder. I don't think that that is as, a taboo of a thing as it was 20 years ago. It's not, you've been blessed by your genes and everything else to be able to throw 95 miles an hour. That, with Driveline and some of these other companies, they've really given us a pathway on how to train it, even in the weight room as well. And so it really comes down to, can you command the baseball? Do you have some kind of secondary? Is there anything that is an outlier with all the great pitching metrics that we have here? Like what can we play up on? What can we help you to find a pathway to go compete at the highest level? And I think when you take all of those factors in, and then you look at body types, arm action, arm path, those are all the things that you're trying to put together to then say, is this a guy that we want to go after?
One of the other kind of ancillary topics that parents are now really asking about, predominantly in light of the fact that the Vanderbilt quarterback Diego Pavia got that extra year. Just kind of curious, in your opinion, do you foresee a world where student athletes will have 5 total years of eligibility, and use them however you want, whether it's through the JUCO and then 3 at the 4-year school? Do you envision that type of kind of a situation happening sooner rather than later?
I think the ruling has certainly muddied the waters a little bit. I think it's opening that door to a 5 year, but I think the current structure of having 5 years to play for is the best way to go about it, because my biggest fear in all of that is college is typically set up for 4 years,
Right.
you academically. And when you start to then obviously extend careers to 5 years, that I think we lose sight a little bit of the academic side of things. And you will have some kids that are very good students that then want to go to, get a master's degree and things like that. We certainly have kids that do that in 4 years now. But I do think that then we're starting to get outside of the academic time period, and I think it'll bring in a lot more gray area as far as how you keep kids eligible and things like that. I would like for it to see it stay the same way that it is now, because I think that provides kids a great opportunity. Also, that you're not having kids that are staying around forever. 4 years, get your degree, and at that point in time, you've got your two avenues, right? Are we going to go play pro baseball, or is it time to move on with the real world? And I think that's our job to kind of prepare them for both. But a 4 year path seems to be the way that's worked for a long time. I'd be shocked if we truly change that.
A lot of parents ask me with regard to camps. They see it or they're being told they're money grabs and things of that nature. But in reality, they are now becoming a integral foundational piece of recruiting. I'm sure you offer camps. Talk about from a Lindenwood perspective, with regard to camps, what does that allow you to do that, over and above the skill set evaluation, what does that allow you to do and see with regard to potentially recruiting a high school student athlete at Lindenwood?
Yeah, camps are great. Love camps. The We are very very big on them here because it allows us to pull back the curtain about who you are, just as much about evaluating what you can do on the baseball field. In our camps, you would see all of our coaches out on the field interacting with student athletes uh, the entire time. I think that is just as much, if not more important during a camp, is the interaction from coach to player than anything else that you can do. Because it's truly given us a window and almost given us an opportunity for us to coach you, to see how you react, see what your personality's like, all the things that we can't figure out by watching you play. So that part of the camp evaluation is massive for us. The second part of that is like we've used it as, hey, we really like this kid. We need to make a final decision on him, right? Like we haven't been able to see him as much as we would have liked. We really, really, really invite him, want them to come to our camp. And then that's where we're going to make a final evaluation using the ability to really break it down with them and talk with them and ask questions, find out who they are. And then on the flip side, for a lot of the younger players, it's a great way to get on our radar. With recruiting being backed up and everything else, we don't spend as much time recruiting the younger kids early on. Camps for young kids is a great chance to get in the setting, get to know the coaches, and get your name on a radar. I know certainly from our aspect, we've gone out and seen kids play just because they came to our camp and we thought that there was something there. So that has been huge, and I would think every camp that we've had, we've signed at least one player, and I know one from this past summer who's going to be a part of our 25 class. Um, when he came to our camp, like he did very, very well on the baseball side of things, but we spent an immense amount of time with him and just loved who the kid was. And it was a no brainer for us. Like there was an offer a couple of days later, a visit right after that, and he committed, I think, 2 weeks later. But it's just, it's a chance to really find out who the kid is on top of the baseball evaluation.
Well, I'm going to follow that up by saying a lot of families, um, they when they think recruiting, they think they have to, they kind of run their student athletes' social media. They're sending emails. Talk a little bit about the importance of student athletes being fully engaged and, more importantly, accountable with regard to their recruiting, because this is a big decision way over and above baseball. So, talk about when you're getting contacted. Are you able to tell, oh, this is a parent, or we need, we'd really love to hear from the student athlete? Add some understanding to the realities of the process when you're interacting, whether it's initial emails or social media correspondence. What would your advice be to the high school student athlete that has an interest in Lindenwood?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is parents can be guiding what they're doing, but the student athletes should be invested in it 100%. They should be the ones reaching out. They should be the ones handling all the communication and everything. Because from our side of things, if a parent is taking care of things and they're sending the emails or it's coming from their account, they're the ones reaching out. That's a little bit of a red flag that maybe this kid is not mature enough to handle what's going to be in front of them. So for us, that is a red flag. Um, all of the communication, it should be really pointed to the school you're looking at. It should be add specifics of this is why, right? I think too oftentimes kids send things out and they'll say, "Hey, I'm really interested in your program. I would love to hear more." And from our end, it's like, okay, well, why? Did you do your research? Have you looked around? Why does it make sense for you? Because I explain this all the time that those emails, the social media posts, everything else, it's the cover of a book. And what I want those emails and all the other correspondents to do is make me read the rest of the book, make me go out and see you play, make me want to follow up and say, hey, I want to know more about this, or hey, I really liked your video, I would like to see you play. What makes Lindenwood a fit for you? And I think that when kids can dive in that more, it shows genuine interest. It shows that they've actually done some homework, and I guarantee that that's going to pique the interest of a coach, should it be a fit for their program.
Well, I want to make sure I say thank you. And parents, student athletes, PJ Finnegan is a really elite mentor, former professional player, pitching coach, now head coach at Lindenwood. I encourage you to take a look at the Lindenwood schedule, any schedule within the Ohio Valley Conference. Look at the out of conference games, whether it's Memphis, whether it's Southeastern. I mean, there's a lot of really great out of conference games that you're able to play over those 54, 56 games. And coach, I want to say thank you very much for taking the time to share not only your perspective with regard to recruiting in college baseball, but Lindenwood University and the Ohio Valley Conference.
Now, really appreciate you having me on, and what you're doing for families and the game of baseball is greatly appreciated. So,
Well, it's all to bring awareness to the value and the balance of college, not just from a baseball perspective, but I've heard you say it a couple of times. It's the camaraderie within a program and the development as adults, going from older teenagers to young men during those 4 or possibly 5 years, is really the value I associate with the college experience, and I know you exemplify that at Lindenwood University. So, best of luck in the 25-26 season and beyond. And if we can ever do anything for you, please feel free to reach out.
no, thank you. Really appreciate you having me on.
That was awesome.